Sarah, it's Daniel. Listen, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I need to ask you something. I'm having my promotion celebration at the Grand Hyatt next Friday. Big event, 200 people including the chairman of Corp's board. This is huge for my career. VP of Strategic Partnerships at 32. Pause. I could hear him breathing, choosing his words carefully. Here's the thing. Mom and Dad are coming. They're so proud. And with the chairman there, with all these executives and board members, I really need this to go perfectly. So I'm asking, could you maybe not come? I know that sounds harsh, but you know how you are at these corporate events. You don't really get the business world, and I can't afford any awkwardness. This is my moment. Please understand. The message ended. I sat in my home office in Palo Alto, looking at the 3 monitors displaying real-time data from my portfolio companies. 17 startups. Total portfolio value, $2.3 billion. On the center screen, Corp's latest quarterly filing. The company I'd recapitalized 5 years ago. The company where I own 67% of outstanding shares through my investment vehicle, SKT Holdings. The company where my little brother had just been promoted to VP. The company whose chairman, Richard Morrison, called me every Monday morning for our standing strategy session. I pulled up my calendar. Next Friday evening was blocked. Corp board dinner. Richard had mentioned it last week. Small celebration for some executive promotions. You should come, Sarah. Meet the senior team. I'd said maybe. Now I reached for my phone and texted Richard, count me in for Friday. Looking forward to meeting your VP of Strategic Partnerships. His response came immediately, excellent. Daniel Kim is sharp. Rising star. You'll be impressed. I'm sure I will be. I deleted Daniel's voicemail without responding. Daniel was born to shine. Charismatic, athletic, destined for corner offices and executive retreats. He played lacrosse in high school, joined the best fraternity at USC, graduated with a business degree and a networking contact list that could fill a stadium. I was born to build things. At 8, I took apart our family computer and rebuilt it with better components. Mom found me surrounded by circuit boards and accused me of breaking it. It works better now, I'd said, demonstrating the faster boot time. Sarah, normal girls don't do this. Why can't you be more like other children? Normal meant social. Meant caring about the right clothes, the right friends, the right activities. I cared about code. About systems. About making things work better. Daniel made varsity lacrosse. Dad announced at every family dinner. When I won the state computer science competition at 16, Mom said, "That's nice, honey. Don't forget Daniel's game is Saturday. We all need to be there." I went to MIT on a full scholarship. Double majored in computer science and finance. Graduated at the top of my class. Daniel went to USC on Dad's dime. Majored in business administration. Graduated with a 3.1 GPA and job offers from 3 companies, all from fraternity connections. Family reaction to my MIT graduation: "That's wonderful, Sarah. Did you hear Daniel got hired at Oracle? $75,000 starting salary. I got recruited by a hedge fund for $180,000. Plus performance bonuses. Nobody asked. I spent 3 years at the hedge fund, working 100-hour weeks analyzing tech companies, building financial models, identifying undervalued opportunities. I was good at it. Really good. I could see patterns other analysts missed. I understood technology in a way that pure finance people didn't. I could evaluate a startup's code quality, assess their technical team's competence, predict which products would scale. At 25, I made my first angel investment. $50,000 in a cloud infrastructure startup that everyone thought was overvalued. It exited for $340 million 18 months later. My stake was worth $2.8 million. I didn't tell my family. They were too busy celebrating Daniel's promotion to account manager at Oracle. I started investing more aggressively. Early-stage tech companies. B2B software. Infrastructure plays. Companies that other investors didn't understand because they didn't have the technical background to evaluate the technology. By 28, I'd made 7 successful investments. My personal net worth crossed $40 million. I quit the hedge fund and started my own investment firm. SKT Holdings, Sarah Kim Technologies. Daniel called when he heard I'd quit. "Sarah, are you crazy?" He had a stable job. Now you're going to do what? Invest your own money in risky startups? That's not a real career. It's working so far. You got lucky once or twice. That's not sustainable. Look, if you need help, I have connections at Oracle. I could probably get you an interview for a sales operations role. I'm fine, Daniel. Sarah, I'm trying to help. This startup investing thing, it's not serious. Come work at a real company. Build a real career. I'd stopped trying to explain after that conversation. In 2019, I was approached by an investment banker about a distressed opportunity. Corp. Enterprise software company. Good technology, bad management. Burning through cash, over-leveraged, 12 months from bankruptcy. The board was looking for a white knight investor. Someone who could inject capital, bring operational expertise, and help turn the company around. The banker knew my track record. Sarah, this is a $200 million investment minimum. It's risky. But if you can fix it, the upside is enormous. Corp has 3,000 enterprise customers and best-in-class technology. They just need competent leadership and capital. I spent 3 weeks doing due diligence. Reviewed every line of code. Analyzed every customer contract. Interviewed the engineering team, the sales team, the customers. The diagnosis was clear. Great product, terrible strategy, incompetent C-suite. I made an offer. $280 million for a 67% equity stake. Immediate replacement of the CEO and CFO. Board restructuring. Operational overhaul. The board accepted. I brought in Richard Morrison as chairman, a legendary tech executive I'd worked with at the hedge fund. Together we rebuilt Corp from the ground up. New CFO. New strategy focused on their core enterprise customers. New product development cadence. New sales methodology. Within 2 years, Corp was profitable. Within 4 years, revenue had doubled. By 2024, Corp was worth $1.8 billion. My 67% stake. $1.2 billion. It was my crown jewel. The investment that proved I could do more than pick winners. I could fix broken companies. I served on the board. Had monthly strategy sessions with Richard. Reviewed major hires, approved budgets, guided product decisions. I knew every executive, every VP, every director-level hire. Including, as of 3 months ago, the new VP of Strategic Partnerships. Daniel Kim. He'd been hired without my involvement. VP-level hires didn't require board approval. I'd seen his name on an org chart Richard sent me, done a double take and said nothing. I figured he'd mention it eventually. Family dinner, a phone call, something. He never did. And now he was having a promotion celebration and explicitly asking me not to attend because I didn't get the business world. The irony was exquisite. Mom called on Tuesday. Sarah, honey, Daniel said he talked to you about his celebration? He left a voicemail. He said he asked you not to come. I know that sounds harsh, but it's fine, Mom. I understand. Relief flooded her voice. Oh, thank goodness. I was worried you'd be upset. It's just, this is such a big moment for Daniel. VP at 32. At a major tech company. And the chairman of the board is coming. Daniel needs to make the right impression. Corp is a great company. You've heard of it? Well, of course you invest in tech things. Anyway, the chairman is apparently very important. Very connected. Daniel's been working so hard to impress him. I smiled. I'm sure he has. So you understand why it's better if you don't attend? These corporate events, they're not really your scene. You'd be uncomfortable. Mom, I go to corporate events all the time. Well, yes, but those are probably small startup things. This is different. This is a real company with a board of directors and executives. Very formal. Very high level. I see. Your father and I will be there, of course. We're so proud of Daniel. VP at 32. He's really made something of himself. Unlike you was the unspoken end of that sentence. That's wonderful, Mom. I'm happy for him. You're so understanding, Sarah. This is why we love you. You're always so supportive of your brother. She hung up. I sat there for a moment, then called Richard Morrison. Sarah. I was just reviewing the Q3 projections. Marketing efficiency is up 23%. Richard, quick question. The celebration on Friday. What's the dress code? Business formal. Why? Just want to make sure I'm dressed appropriately. You always are. Sarah, is everything all right? Everything's perfect. See you Friday. Daniel called on Thursday. Last-ditch effort. Sarah, I know you haven't responded about tomorrow. I'm taking that as a yes that you'll stay home. Actually, I'm planning to attend. Silence. Then, Sarah, I specifically asked you not to come. You asked. I declined. This is my promotion celebration. My event. I'm asking you as my sister to respect my wishes. Daniel, when's the last time you asked about my work? What does that have to do with anything? Humor me. When's the last time you asked what I actually do? Pause. I don't know. You invest in startups or something. Why does it matter? Do you know the name of my firm? Sarah, I don't have time for SKT Holdings. I've run it for 7 years. Do you know how much capital I manage? I really don't see. $2.3 billion. I've made 17 investments. 12 successful exits. 5 active portfolio companies worth a combined $1.9 billion. My personal net worth is approximately $1.4 billion. Complete silence. Daniel. You're lying. I'm not. But here's the interesting part. Do you know who owns 67% of Next Corp? The company you work for. I could hear his breathing change. A holding company called SKT Holdings. My holding company. I recapitalized Next Corp 5 years ago. I own the majority of your company, Daniel. I sit on the board. Richard Morrison, the chairman you're so eager to impress, calls me every Monday morning for strategy sessions. That's impossible. It's public record. Check the SEC filings. Look up Next Corp's majority shareholder. I heard keyboard typing. Fast, frantic. Then silence. Sarah. I'll see you tomorrow, Daniel. At my portfolio company's executive celebration. Where I'll be sitting with the chairman. At the head table. Because I'm the majority shareholder. I hung up. The Grand Hyatt ballroom was stunning. 200 guests. Next Corp had gone all out. This wasn't just Daniel's promotion. They were celebrating several VP-level promotions and announcing Q3 results. I arrived exactly on time wearing a midnight blue Armani gown. Elegant, powerful, unmistakably expensive. Richard Morrison greeted me at the entrance. Sarah, you look phenomenal. Thank you, Richard. Good turnout. Strong quarter deserves a strong celebration. Come, you're at the head table. He led me through the crowd. I saw Daniel immediately, standing with Mom and Dad near the bar. His face was pale. He'd clearly spent the past 24 hours processing what I'd told him. Mom spotted me. Her smile faltered. Sarah? What are you doing here? Attending the event. Hi, Dad. Dad looked confused. Honey, Daniel said you weren't coming. Plans changed. Daniel materialized at my elbow. Sarah, we need to talk. We should get to our tables. The program's starting soon. Sarah, please. Richard interrupted. Daniel, there you are. Come, I want to introduce you to our majority shareholder. Sarah Kim, this is Daniel Kim, our new VP of Strategic Partnerships. Daniel, Sarah is the founder of SKT Holdings. She recapitalized Next Corp 5 years ago and has been instrumental in our turnaround. Daniel's face was a mask of forced professionalism. We've met. Sarah's my sister. Richard's eyebrows rose. Your sister? Daniel, you never mentioned your sister was Sarah Kim. I didn't know she was. I mean, I knew she invested in tech, but I didn't realize that she owned your company? Richard said it kindly, but the words landed hard. Sarah's the best investor I've worked with. Her operational insights have been invaluable. He turned to my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Kim, you must be incredibly proud. Your daughter built a $2.3 billion investment firm and executed one of the most successful corporate turnarounds in recent tech history. Mom and Dad stared at me like I was a stranger. Anyway, Richard continued, Sarah, you're at table 1. Mr. and Mrs. Kim, Daniel, you're at table 4. He led me away, leaving my family standing there in shocked silence. Table 1 had 8 seats. Richard Morrison as chairman. Margaret Chin, the CEO. Thomas Park, the CFO. 3 other board members. Me. And 1 empty seat reserved for distinguished guest. Who's the extra seat for? I asked Richard. Surprise guest. You'll see. The program began with cocktails and appetizers. I made conversation with the other board members, discussed Q4 strategy with Margaret, Reviewed some financial projections with Thomas. Professional. Competent. In my element. Across the room I could see Daniel at table 4, surrounded by other VPs and their families. He kept glancing at the head table. At me. Mom and Dad sat beside him looking lost. This wasn't the world they understood, where their daughter sat at the head table and their son sat in the middle of the room. At 7, Richard stood to give welcoming remarks. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NextCorp's Q3 celebration. Tonight we're not just celebrating strong financial performance, though our revenue is up 34% year-over-year. We're celebrating the people who made it happen. Applause. 5 years ago, NextCorp was 12 months from bankruptcy. We had good technology but terrible execution. We were burning cash, losing customers and running out of time. He paused for effect. Then Sarah Kim walked into my office. She'd done 3 weeks of due diligence on our company. She understood our technology better than our own CTO. She saw potential everyone else had missed. And she made a bold bet, $280 million for a 67% equity stake. Every head in the room turned toward table 1. Toward me. Sarah didn't just invest capital. She invested expertise. He helped us recruit Margaret as CEO. She guided our product strategy. She connected us with enterprise customers. She pushed us to focus on what we did best and abandon what wasn't working. Richard looked directly at me. Today NextCorp is worth $1.8 billion. We're profitable. We're growing. We employ 3,000 people. And none of it would have happened without Sarah's vision, capital and operational guidance. He raised his glass. To Sarah Kim, the majority shareholder who saved this company. The room erupted in applause. I smiled graciously and gave a small wave. At table 4, Daniel sat frozen, his champagne glass untouched. After Richard's remarks, we moved to the formal program. Dinner was served, excellent food, excellent wine. Then came the promotion announcements. Margaret Chin, the CEO, took the podium. Tonight, we're recognizing several exceptional leaders who've earned advancement to VP-level positions. She called names. Each VP stood, was applauded, said a few words. Daniel was 5th. Daniel Kim, VP of Strategic Partnerships. Daniel joined NextCorp 18 months ago and has been instrumental in building our partner ecosystem. Daniel. He stood. Walked to the podium. The spotlight hit him. For a moment he looked like the Daniel I'd grown up with, confident, charismatic, born for this. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you to the leadership team that believed in me. His eyes swept the head table. Paused on me. Kept going. When I joined NextCorp, I saw a company with incredible potential. Strong technology, strong customers, strong vision. I'm honored to contribute to that vision as VP of Strategic Partnerships. He paused. Seemed to steel himself. I want to particularly thank the board of directors for their strategic guidance. And I want to thank Chairman Morrison for his mentorship. Safe. Generic. Avoiding me entirely. He was wrapping up when Richard stood. Daniel, before you sit down, I want to add something. Daniel froze at the podium. Richard walked up beside him. Ladies and gentlemen, NextCorp's success story is really about one person's willingness to bet on us when nobody else would. I'd like to recognize our majority shareholder, Ms. Sarah Kim, who owns 67% of this company. He gestured to me. Sarah, would you say a few words? The room went silent. I stood. Smoothed my gown. Walked to the podium. Daniel stepped aside, his face ashen. I took the microphone. Thank you, Richard. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Sarah Kim, founder of SKT Holdings. 5 years ago, I invested $280 million to recapitalize NextCorp. It's been the most rewarding investment of my career, not because of financial returns, though those have been excellent, but because of the people. I let my eyes sweep the room. Building a company is about people. Finding talent, nurturing it, giving people opportunities to grow. Tonight, we're celebrating VPs who've earned their promotions through hard work and dedication. That includes Daniel Kim, who also happens to be my younger brother. Gasps rippled through the audience. Daniel didn't get promoted because of our family connection. He got promoted because he's good at his job. Margaret and her leadership team don't make decisions based on personal relationships. They make decisions based on merit. And Daniel earned this promotion. I looked at him directly. I'm proud of your work, Daniel. I'm proud of what you've accomplished here. And I'm glad you're part of NextCorp's success story. I handed the microphone back to Richard and returned to my seat. Applause followed, polite, slightly confused. Daniel stood at the podium, looking like he didn't know whether to thank me or run away. He chose neither. He just walked back to table 4 and sat down. After the formal program, guests mingled. The bar opened. Music played. I was talking with Margaret about Q4 product launches when I heard raised voices. Near table 4. My parents' table. I excused myself and walked over. Dad was arguing with someone, one of the other VPs. My daughter is not the majority shareholder. Sarah does small tech investing. Startups. She doesn't have the kind of money you're talking about. The VP looked uncomfortable. Sir, I'm just telling you what's in the public filings. SKT Holdings owns 67% of NextCorp. Sarah Kim is the founder of SKT Holdings. That's impossible. She never said, she never told us. Mom grabbed Dad's arm. John, stop. People are staring. Daniel sat with his head in his hands. I approached quietly. Dad, maybe we should step outside. He turned on me. Sarah, tell them. Tell them you don't own this company. I can't tell them that, Dad. Because it's not true. You own 67% of a billion-dollar company? $1.8 billion, actually. My stake is worth approximately $1.2 billion. The color drained from his face. Security appeared, 2 men in suits. Not aggressive, just present. Richard materialized beside me. Is there a problem? No problem, I said smoothly. Family discussion. We'll take it to the lobby. Richard nodded to security. They stepped back but didn't leave. I guided my parents and Daniel toward the exit. We found a private conference room off the main hallway. Dad paced. Mom sat in a chair crying quietly. Daniel leaned against the wall. How long? Dad demanded. How long have you owned this company? 5 years. 5 years. And you never told us. I tried to tell you, Dad. Multiple times. When I made the investment, I called you. You said, that's nice, honey. Did you hear Daniel got promoted to senior account manager? When NextCorp turned profitable, I mentioned it at Thanksgiving. Mom changed the subject to Daniel's new apartment. You should have made us listen. How? By forcing you to care about my career? By demanding you pay attention? Dad, I gave up trying to make you see me years ago. Mom looked up, mascara streaking. Sarah, that's not fair. We've always supported you. No, Mom. You've always supported Daniel. You celebrated every promotion, every achievement, every milestone. When I graduated from MIT at the top of my class, you spent the ceremony talking about Daniel's job search. When I made my first million, you didn't notice. When I made my first 100 million, you didn't ask. Because you never said anything. I said plenty. You weren't listening. You were too focused on Daniel's career to notice I'd built something extraordinary. Daniel finally spoke. Sarah, why didn't you tell me you owned my company? I didn't know you worked here until 3 months ago. Your name appeared on an org chart. I figured you'd mention it eventually. Hey Sarah, guess what? I got hired at NextCorp. But you never did. Because I didn't know you owned it. You didn't know because you've never asked what I actually do, Daniel. You assumed I did small tech investing. You offered to help me get a job at Oracle because you thought my career wasn't serious. He flinched. Do you know how that felt? Having my little brother condescend to me about career advice when I was managing billions? When I was executing one of the most successful corporate turnarounds in tech? I didn't know. Because you didn't ask. None of you asked. For years I tried to share my work. You weren't interested. So I stopped trying. I built a life where people did see me, Richard, Margaret, my other portfolio founders, my limited partners. They valued my expertise. They trusted my judgment. They saw me. I looked at all 3 of them. And then Daniel's promotion comes up and you explicitly uninvite me because I don't get the business world. The business world I've been operating in at the highest levels for a decade. The business world where I'm known as one of the most successful investors of my generation. Silence. Mom whispered, we didn't know. You could have known. You should have known. But you were too invested in the narrative that Daniel was the successful one and I was the quirky tech sister who never quite fit. Dad sank into a chair. Sarah, I don't know what to say. There's nothing to say, Dad. You raised 2 children. One you celebrated constantly. One you ignored. Now you're shocked to discover the one you ignored built something bigger than you imagined. That's not my problem to solve. Daniel's voice was small. Are you going to fire me? I looked at him. What? You own 67% of the company. You could fire me. Daniel, I don't make hiring and firing decisions. Margaret does. The executive team does. I'm an investor and board member, not operational management. But you could. I could, but I won't. You earned your promotion. You're good at your job. This company doesn't need family drama interfering with business decisions. Relief flooded his face. But Daniel, I need you to understand something. You uninvited me from your celebration because you were embarrassed by me. Because you thought I'd make you look bad in front of the chairman. The chairman who works for me. He nodded slowly, tears in his eyes. That's something you need to live with. Not guilt, just awareness. Awareness that the sister you dismissed is the majority shareholder of the company you work for. Awareness that you spent 29 years assuming you were the successful sibling when I was building an empire. I turned to my parents. I love you. I've always loved you. But I don't need your validation anymore. I have a portfolio to manage, board meetings to attend, and companies to build. Whether you're proud of me or not, that's your choice. It doesn't change what I've accomplished. I walked to the door. Sarah, wait, Mom said. Can we try to fix this? As a family. I looked back at them. 3 people who'd spent my entire life overlooking me and now couldn't believe what they'd missed. Maybe someday, I said. When you're ready to actually see me instead of just seeing my net worth. When you're interested in my work because it matters to me, not because Richard Morrison validated it. How do we do that? Dad asked. Start by asking. Actually asking about my life, my work, my interests. Not because you're impressed now, but because you care about who I am. I opened the door. And Dad? I'm not the quirky tech sister anymore. I'm Sarah Kim. I manage $2.3 billion. I've executed 12 successful exits. I own majority stakes in 5 companies worth nearly $2 billion. I sit on 4 boards. Forbes ranked me in their top 50 investors under 40. I smiled. But you would have known all that if you'd ever bothered to ask. I left them there and returned to the celebration. The Forbes article hit newsstands on a Wednesday. The silent majority. How Sarah Kim built a $2.3 billion portfolio while everyone watched her brother. It was a 6-page profile. Photos of me in the office. Interviews with Richard Morrison and other CEOs I'd backed. Analysis of my investment strategy and track record. There was one paragraph about my family. Kim's younger brother Daniel works as a VP at Corp, one of her portfolio companies. He didn't know I owned the company until I showed up at his promotion celebration, Kim says with characteristic understatement. We have different relationships with visibility. He seeks it. I prefer to let my work speak for itself. My phone exploded with interview requests, speaking invitations, limited partner inquiries. I declined most of them. Instead, I focused on my portfolio. Corp was preparing for an IPO. Potential valuation $3.2 billion. 2 other portfolio companies were raising Series C rounds. I had 3 new investments in due diligence. Daniel called on Thursday evening. I read the Forbes piece. It's accurate. Sarah, I've been thinking a lot since the celebration. About everything you said. About how we've treated you. Okay. I want to do better. Be better. Not because you're successful, but because you're my sister and I should have cared about your life all along. That's good, Daniel. Can we start over? Really start over? I thought about it. About 29 years of being invisible. About a promotion celebration where I'd been uninvited from my own portfolio company's event. About watching my parents' faces when they realized what they'd missed. We can try, I said finally. But Daniel, this isn't about wealth or success or impressing people. This is about you actually seeing me. Not Sarah Kim, the billionaire investor. Just Sarah. Your sister. I want to. I really do. Then start by asking questions. Real questions. About my work, yes, but also about my life. My interests. Who I am as a person. Okay. He paused. Sarah, who are you as a person? Beyond the investments and the board seats. It was such a simple question. Nobody in my family had ever asked it. I'm someone who likes building things, I said slowly. Who gets excited about elegant code and efficient systems? Who loves mentoring founders because I remember what it felt like to not be taken seriously? Who prefers small dinners with close friends over big events? Who still takes apart electronics for fun? I didn't know any of that. I know. But now you do. We talked for an hour. Really talked. For the first time in years. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't forgiveness. It was just a start. Because the real victory had happened years ago, when I'd stopped waiting for family validation and started building something that mattered on its own terms. NextCorp's IPO went public 6 months later. Valuation $3.4 billion. My stake, $2.3 billion. The Wall Street Journal ran the story. Bloomberg covered it. TechCrunch called it one of the most successful corporate turnarounds in recent tech history. Richard Morrison gave interviews. Margaret Chin appeared on CNBC. Even Daniel got quoted in one article, carefully praising the investor who saved our company. As for me, I attended the IPO bell-ringing ceremony, smiled for the cameras and went back to work. Because that was the real lesson. Success wasn't about recognition or family pride or proving people wrong. Success was building something excellent whether anyone was watching or not. I'd built something excellent. The fact that my family finally noticed? That was nice. But it was never the point.